out today? Or leave it up to you? Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't hurt nothing.
Is this on? Over here now?
Amen.
You guys know how this goes. No one else has a song, and you have to hear me. I heard you guys this morning. As I sat back there, my heart was touched. But as I sat back here, I heard about you. And I sat back there, my heart was touched. I heard us all talk, and we went into some things, and everybody had their say. And as I sat back there, I didn't say a lot. Sometimes I like to just not say anything at all. I like to just hear what's being said.
Really?
We like that too. Indeed so. But let me say this. When times get quiet, I'm happy. I'm hearing some things that my heart was moved and touched, but I want to talk about a need. See, at some points in life, we all have needs. Why do I say that at some point in our lives we all have a need? Had Christ not have come and did what he did, where would we be? We had a need, right? Had sins that couldn't be paid for. We couldn't do anything. Christ seen what in that? He saw a need. He saw that something needed to be done, so he did what? He took action. The Lord sent his son so that he could do what? pay for the sins of all mankind. See, so y'all, at some points in our lives, we have all had a need. I got signed up for a class that I didn't bargain for. I got into class and I said, I got into class and some things happened. All of a sudden, I had a need. I had one need to work on a computer, and my second need was it had been a long time since I'd even dealt with anything to do with a computer, so I was stuck. Found myself inside a situation I had a need. And here's what happens often when you find yourself in that situation when you have a need, which you don't know what to do, right? So I felt sort of stupid. So I didn't bargain for all of this. Now I just signed up for a class, and here's what happened, this, what happened, this, and now I'm in this, and I have a need. I need somebody to do something for me, to help me. Hey, to help me get to where I need to go. I need. I'm going to read some things. I'm going to try to be brief. Man, we don't have a lot of time, do we? I'm going to try to be brief.
Did say try.
But who knows? Let me get this straight because I don't even have the right glasses this morning. Let me see your glasses. Thank you. Thank you. It's okay. I'm struggling.
Another need.
I am struggling. I'm going to take just a second to make sure. I'm worried. I want to be. The Lord said to his disciples, he sent them on a trip. But as they went, he told them, don't take anything. Let me find where I'm at. Hell, stop. Hang on, guys. Hang on. It was 6 and 8, I think, in the book of Mark. He commanded to take nothing for the journey except the staff. No bag, no bread, no copper or any belts of money. Now, let me stop for a second. You're going to send me on a trip, and you're going to tell me that you can't take anything with you at all. I just want you to go. That's saying what? On this trip, what you're going to have some needs, right? I'm sending you somewhere, but you can't take anything with you, but I'm telling you I want you to go. Now, I'm glad I'm here and not there because I might have said no. No, I wouldn't have. But here's where I'm going. He was saying to them what? Because I can hear what those disciples are saying. You're sending me, but you're not going to let me take anything with me? How will I make it? What's going to happen? What's going to become of me, right? Because we're selfish people. Lord, I trust you. I love you, but this is what you're asking of me to go. Because of what? I know how people are. Why do I know how folks are? Because I know how I am. So I'm going to have a need here. So what you're asking me to trust you for everything, right?
Faith.
Excuse me?
Have faith. Have faith.
Oh, my goodness.
Walk in faith.
Yeah. But that's sometimes scary, right? You just go. Go because I told you to go, and don't take anything with you. Just go. Oh, man. What did the Lord know? What did he need from them? And you're getting ahead of me, but you're right. I need them to learn how to depend upon me. Because I know their needs. I know what you're going to need before you were sent, but I just need you to depend upon me. There's people in life every day have needs. And they're depending upon who? They're depending upon the Lord to take care of those needs. Now, how does that relate to us? They were talking about needs, and I said back there, just like me in that class. All of a sudden, I needed some things. And I looked at some people. Who did I look to? I trusted in the Lord, but I looked to y'all. I was sitting back here, and as things unfolded, I was looking. I needed some help. I looked at Cheryl. I said, she don't know it, but here I come. Came right to her. I said, girl, this is what I need to happen. Can you help me? And Cheryl helped me. But here's my point. Cheryl didn't understand what was happening in my mind at the time, right? I was twisted and torn. I got to get started. I got to get, y'all, because I'm like this. Now, don't say anything. Let me say something. I don't like to be behind because I'm sort of slow. And if I get behind, it's hard to get caught back up. So I try to stay ahead of the ball. So I said, here's what I know. I've got to get started. So I went to Cheryl, and Cheryl helped me. Why do I use that as my example? That's just a small need. Some people have some huge needs. Some people need some things done, and I'm happy we sat there and talked about we shouldn't have to wait till the next business meeting. Sometimes when you need something, you need it then. You need it to happen. Well, that's like with us. When we die, we're going to need the Lord to do what? Don't stay and play, but load me and go. I want to go with you. I don't want to stay and play. I've been here all this time. I just want to go home with you. Well, how would you feel if the Lord said, well, Dad, I'm going to leave you here for about 6 months. You did this, hey, you did that. I'm going to let you just stay and play for 6 more months. At that time, it's going to have been changed, right? I don't like what's happening now, but then I sure don't want to stay and play. Load me and go, Lord. Here's my point. Where is Daryl going? Here's why these needs are so important. If these needs are met, who do they see? Our faith is here in the Lord, but what has happened if our needs are met? Then I've been what? I've been reassured. It's been confirmed that I can lean on who? I can trust in who? I can trust in the Lord. Now I'm going to say something. This morning, I didn't know we were going to have this, and I should have known, but I sat back there. That's why I didn't hear with the offering this morning. I was spanned. Boom! I had a moment. Here's where I'm going. We have needs. Why do we have needs? Because we're human. And in this life, we're going to have some needs. We're going to struggle. We're going to trip. We're going to stumble. We're going to fall. But who do we have? We have the Lord. Along with having the Lord, who else do we have? We have each other. Say that again. We have each other. I'm going to say this. He's designed it like this. The fruits of the Spirit are, as I read, and y'all, I'm excited this morning. Why? Because I understand the power of the Lord. I understand the things that He has done for me in my life. I understand the things that He's still doing, and I understand the things that He will continue doing. And as I speak upon my life, He's done the same thing for you in your life. Often, here's what happens. There are folks who will sit quietly by and say, well, I'm not going to be a loud mouth like Daryl. I'm not going to stand up and holler and scream and say what the Lord has did for me. So often it makes folks think, well, the Lord has done more for Daryl than what He's done for anybody else. But we all know that it's just not so, right? But the fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, patience, kindness, goodness, faithful, gentleness. They're self-control. Against these things, there are no laws. Who do these things hinge upon? It hinges upon us following Christ. It hinges upon us doing what He did. It hinges upon us having Him as our example. And why am I saying that? I've had a long weekend thus far, and it's not over. Been moving, been going, been here and there, been tossed up in time. But here's what I understand. We stay in faith, if we stay in prayer, if we're led by the Lord, He's going to see us through. Here's what I just said. This weekend I've had a need. I had to borrow some stuff. I had to be here. I had to ask some folks. I need help with this. I need help with that. I have a need. We have them. But here's what I understand. God's a powerful God. He's a wonderful God. He's an unchanging God. And understand, if my faith, my hope, and my trust is in Him, He says He will supply my needs. How? According to what? All the riches that are in heaven, right? Heaven's a big place. Heaven's a wonderful place. And He'll do as He has promised. He always did that. But here's where I'm going. You and I play a very important role. As I sat back there and heard you guys discussing and talking back there, man, I don't have the right glasses. I can't lift up the right scriptures, but my heart is touched. But see, that's how it's supposed to be. It's not about finding the right scriptures, right? Hey, my heart, how was my heart? How was my heart feel? Not because I was back there in scripture, hearing y'all speak of what we could do to help change somebody's life. Now, where am I going? Why do Daryl want a life-changing experience to happen? Isn't that what we need to happen? If people's lives are changed, it needs to be a big thing. It needs to be something that has changed their life forever, right? Excuse me? Who said what? Thank you. Often it's those little things that lead up to that one big thing, but she's right. But here's my point. Because it may seem small to you, it doesn't, you have no idea what it may mean to someone else, right? Cheryl has no idea what that meant to me when she said, Cheryl, I'll help you. And I want to say something else about Cheryl. She didn't only help me, but she cooked. And I was hungry those times I went out there. And she fed me. I told Michael once I got home, I said, you should have went. The girl can throw down. Hey, not only did I get my assignment done, but I got to eat. So I said, once I got home, all I had to do was shower and rest. But God is like that, right? When you tried God, then that's all you have to do. That's all that's left, right? Rest. Isn't this life enough on its own? Why should you have to head home and still be consumed and still worry? Because there's so much that you have to be consumed with, right? I worry all the time. That's why my face is gray. That's why I'm getting old. Time, it does that to us, right? That's worrying. But when God has his way, then we don't have to worry when we go home. But how does God have his way? And I want to find this scripture, Mark 6 and 8. Y'all, I'm excited this morning. But I'm happy. I hate I don't have the right glasses. Hang on for a second. I'm looking for the verse where God sent the disciples to go get a donkey. And he said in there and hunt for it, y'all. He sent them to get this, and he told them to go and get it. And if anybody says anything, to tell them that the Lord had need of this donkey. Who can find it for me?
What did you say? What verse?
I think it's Mark 6 and 8. If it's not in Mark 6 and 8, it's going to be in Matthew 6 and 8. I'm not for certain, but it says where it's wet. I can find it like this. And the Lord sent for a donkey. And he said that anybody says anything to let them know that the Lord had a need of that animal. I'm going to look up need right quick in the back of my Bible and I will exactly. But here's where I'm going as I look for it. If the Lord has a need, if he can use what? A donkey. If that can be used, then what are we good for? If he can use a donkey. If he has need of a donkey. Hang on just a second and we'll get there. But my point is this, I hear folks say it is in Matthew 21 and 3. Who has it for me? If you can get there. Matthew 21 and 3. Well, actually, who has it?
Matthew 21 and 3 says, and if any man say aught unto you, you shall say, the Lord hath need of them, and straightway he will send them. That's what Matthew
Okay.
21 and 3 says.
And here's what the Lord is into. Well, I'm going here. If a donkey can be used for
And
Christ.
right
Go ahead.
below that, it talks about a donkey.
Okay, let's hear that as well, please.
One.
Hey, would you read that, please?
Okay. Starting then again, for it says, all this was done that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, tell ye the daughter of Zion, behold, thy king cometh unto thee meek and sitting upon an ass, and a colt the foal of an ass. And the disciples went and did as Jesus commanded them, and brought the ass and the colt, and put on them their clothes, and they sat in their own.
Here's my point. Is this. The Lord knows our needs before he sent us. These things have been prophesied over and over and over. My point being this. Just like there was a need for an animal, a donkey that was used. Hey, with us being humans, are we all not the more, that much more what important? There's so much more that we can do. That's what we're here to do. And I like what Cheryl said. It doesn't matter what church someone is, what church they go to. In this class, there's folks who are in this class. But here's my point. What we're looking for, that life-changing experience. Who can change somebody's life? I can't. You can't, right? Who can, though? Christ. But here's what can happen. If we act according to him, and if we do what he has asked of us, then what's going to happen? He's going to use those situations to impact and change folks' lives. Here's what he does, and I want to go fishing. I got a son that fishes all the time. He likes to fish, and I said, that's how my dad was. I like to fish, but I don't have the time. But here's what the Lord does. I watch my son. He buys poles, and he buys bait, and he buys lures, and he buys stuff. He likes to go fishing. He spends his time going fishing. I think about the Lord. That's what the Lord is doing, right? That's what we're here to do, to be a fisher of men's souls, right? That's what our purpose is. But here's what y'all don't understand. Here's what the Lord does. Now I want y'all to follow along with me. I'm going somewhere. I watch my son. He heads to the store. He buys these poles. He buys bait, worms, minnows, and lures. He goes on and on. And he talks about this stuff. He goes. He finds a pond. He puts this bait on his pole and he casts it out there. And hopefully a fish will hop on it. But see, here's what I understand. There's all different types of things that you can use for bait. Hello, that's what we are. The Lord, he uses us. Certain people are attracted to you. Certain people are attracted to you. There's some people hear you. There's certain people hear you. There's some people hear me. If the right person acts upon behalf of the Lord, somebody's going to hear you. They're going to hear what you have to say. All they have to do is hear you. If you'll give him a few minutes, because it happened to me, I know. If you'll give God a few minutes, if we can get the world to give you just a few minutes, those life-changing things are going to happen. But here's what happened. That bait comes clothed and dressed in different clothing. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's black, sometimes it's brown, sometimes it's blue. But the message is forever the same, and it's never changed, right? He's what? The bread of life. He can do it all if we'll act upon him, if we'll act for him and on his behalf. So I'm not going to go into a lot because time. Hey, what time? Yeah, see, we're almost time. It gets away from us, but that's how life is. But let me say this, and here's what I was touched by this morning. The time that we have is important. We should use it wisely. We should use it for Christ. Time is what? It's always what? It's passing, right? It's fleeting. I remember when I was a young man. But that time is gone. That time is no more. But here's what I am to do. I am to use whatever time I have left to help change the lives of somebody else. How do I do it? Through trying to meet their needs. And often, y'all, time is not going to take a whole lot of money. It's not. Here's what happens to us. Often, frequently, we get concerned with how much it costs. The Lord is not going to ask of us what he asked of my grandmother. Daryl's going to need help forever. So you're going to have to spend your whole life with Daryl. And I'm glad she sacrificed for me. I'm glad she did it. But the wonderful thing about God didn't make a whole lot of folks like me who needed that much help. Oftentimes, all we have to do is sit and talk and hear what's on their heart, hear what's on their mind. And it may require just a little bit. But here's what I found. That's going to pay off in dividends. And sometimes it's a burden. Because you see, you guys here, you have to listen to me over and over. Get tired. But I'm here to holler and scream. Why am I here to holler and scream? Because that's all I can do. But that's all the Lord has asked of you. Do what he's put in your heart. Do what you are equipped to do on behalf of Christ. If we can just do that, then it's going to change some lives. I'm going to close with this. There's somebody here before she got here. Well, she had been here long, so, hey, you know me, y'all. I like to do a lot of research. And I got this phone, and I looked this person up. I looked her up, and some things on her Facebook page. And I thought, you know what? She's a pretty good old girl. Is that fair or is that not fair? I had formed an opinion about her on what I had seen on Facebook. But here's where I'm going. We're human, right? And we have opinions. And often they're wrong, but in this situation, that's right. But here's my point. Even if I had been wrong, people can change. Times are changing. We have to give people that opportunity to change. How do we do it? By leaning on Christ, by trusting on Christ, by stepping out in faith and just going and doing what he tells us to do. Because I know some folks in this church, the Lord has told me to go do this for them, to go do that. And I know some folks have said, oh, Lord, what purpose is it? What good is in that young man? He's never going to change. What? Because I sat back there for years. For years, I know a whole lot of folks thought he can't even talk. He never says anything, and now I won't shut up. God can change us all. He will, and he does. If we'll give him the opportunity to have his way. But how do we do that? By humbling ourselves. By just like he sent those disciples. Go. And I'm not going to let you take anything with you. When I read that scripture, I think about a time in my life. I was somewhere and the Lord sent me to crawl before I came here. I knew I was coming. He told me I was coming. I said, no, I'm not going. He said, yeah, you are. I said, no, I'm not. Lord, I'll go anywhere but there. He said, no, you want you to cross. And I'm not going. I'll be honest. That's horrible. He's in the pulpit. He said he argued with the Lord. I did. And my son said, Daddy, we're heading back to cross. No, son, we're not. He said, yeah, we are. And Daryl just goes along with me. He's a good kid. I couldn't do something stupid. All right, Daddy. Hey, this time he didn't. We're going home. And we came home. And I'm still here, and he's gone. But that's okay. The Lord is going to have his way. If the Lord has his way, it's for our good. And not only for our good, it's for everybody else's good. We want the Lord to have his way. But how do we do it? By humbling ourselves. By doing what he's asked of us. By being an example. I think about how, man, I don't know if I know scripture, how the Lord came before Pontius Pilate. The world has a plan for us, y'all. It's forced to fail. It's forced to stumble, fall, hoop and holler, and act ignorant and stupid, and then folks say they haven't changed. But here's what happened. If we act upon behalf of the Lord, if we do the right thing, it's going to change people's lives. How do I know that? So it changed my life. That's what we're here to do, to help change the lives of others. And I got news for you. We have the ability, we have permission to change lives. How do I know? The Lord says it in the Great Commission. He said, just go. By me, I have all power and authority invested in me, and I give it to you. I send you out. Go do it. How do we do it? In Christ, of Christ, about Christ. It has to be about him, and it can't be about us. Now, this morning you was talking about what he sent me. That's what's in my heart. A need to help people. How do I know about why that's so important? I'm somebody here in this life. Even now, after he changed my life, I'm going to have a whole lot of needs. There's a whole lot wrong with me. He designed me like that. You're an accident waiting to happen. But I'm going to surround you with good people. That's why you're going to be successful. That's why it's going to work out. That's why you won't stumble. That's why you won't fall. It's not about you. It's about me. But I'm going to send you out there. Don't let you trip, stumble, and fall. I'm going to let them see who you are. I'm going to let them see you make mistakes. Why? Because when they see you, they'll see what I can do for them as I've done the same for you. And I'm not the only one he's done this for, is it? It's funny how quiet we are when I start saying things like this. But he's done it for us all, right? Had he not, we wouldn't be here, right? Here's where I'm going. I am pleased with what I heard this morning. I'm not fussing at you. I'm not hollering at you. I love you. You ought to feel special because I do. Because if I didn't like you, I wouldn't say anything. I'd be quiet. That's how I am. But the folks I love, I holler and scream and I shout at. Isn't that a funny way to show how you feel? That's how the Lord made me. Each and every one of us, you are equipped for a purpose, a reason. Just do what the Lord has equipped you to do. If you'll do that on behalf of him, that is enough to help change the lives. That's what the world is in need of. But here's what often happens to us. We get caught up with things that don't matter. And you know what's sad? This life is short. Oh, how short it is. There's going to be a time that the Lord is going to reappear. And I like what Delson has said. See what y'all don't know. For a whole lot of times I sit here and I hear him say something, and I'd think something, and he'd say something. I struggle with something back and forth, and here's what I've come to understand. See, here's what happens, y'all. Sometimes it's merely our perception. Hey, we're on the same page. It's just perception. It's just how we see it. But here's what I've understand. If we'll look for a common ground, what is that common ground? If we'll look to God, he'll explain it the way I understand it. He'll explain it the way he understands it. And here's what I found. It meant the same. It's just how we perceived it. But here's what I'm going to close with. As long as the good Lord, when he comes back, if he'll load and go, then I'm good. But oh, how about the ones he's going to say, I'm sorry, depart from me, I never knew you. you get to stay and play. Hey, that reminds me of a time as a kid, we'd go out and play for hours, and when they say it's time to head in, let's go in. I never wanted to go in. I wanted to stay outside and play more. But when God comes back, everybody's going to want to come in from this recess that we call life, right? Everybody's going to want to go with him. But how about the ones who don't know him? How about the ones who haven't accepted Christ? How about those that don't know him as their Lord and Savior? They don't get to go. That's what we're here to do after we've been saved. To share. To share over and over and repeatedly, time and time again. Because there's some of them like me. Hey, you have to hear it over and over again before you accept it. But that's okay. I'm glad my grandmother had a belt and she was resistant and she was persistent and she said, I'm going to beat this into you if I have to kill you. And she did. But that's how we have to be. But we got to do it with words because we can't hit them. She hit me, but we can't hit them. But we can with words. And there's one more thing we have to use to hit them. We can get their attention, but how do we do it? We do it with love, right? We do it with love. If somebody's mean, if they're saying harsh things, here's how you get them. You kill them with what? Kindness and love, right? And I'm going to say this. After you've done that, they'll thank you for it. I think of my grandmother all the time. That little woman, man, because she spanked me over and over and over. That's what we have to do with the word, y'all. But we have to put it to them over and over, repeatedly. It's going to get through if we just stay in it. And I'm going to pray and I'm going to let you guys go because it's already 12:15. But here's what can happen, y'all. If we stay at it, if we're persistent, if we're led by the Lord, he's going to get through to it. And I'm going to close with this, and I've been touched this morning. I'm glad we had this business meeting this morning. Hey, to deal with the needs of the world. And make them understand that there's one need, that there's one somebody can feel and only him, and that need is Christ, right? And that's what he counted. He's paid the price. All we have to do is accept it. And that message of this week, as you go out and about, I want you to be like me this morning. I want you to be loud. I want them to hear you. I want you to scream. I want you to shout. I want you to make them understand that time is winding up. And you have to know Christ. I was doing some stuff this week, and then a person walked up to me, and they approached me about something that's going to happen at the end of this life. See, I understand I'm here for a short time, and this space has it. I'm not here alone. But I understand at the end of this life, I have to go somewhere. But there's some things I have to do to go where I'm trying to get, right? To accept Christ in my life. I have to do this. There's some folks haven't done that, but that's okay. They've still got time, right? But let's make them understand this week that today is the day of salvation. And let's make them understand and let's let them know that if you've not done this, then you're not going to go home with Christ. There's somewhere else. I've been told, but I won't be there. I won't see it. That's one thing I'm so happy about. I don't have to see that. And the Lord is fixed it so nobody has to if they'll just accept him. It's like Delton said. Oh, isn't that powerful? Free gift. A free gift. Those needs that we're going to fulfill of children and people, that's what we want them to understand. As we meet their needs, we want them to understand that it's a free gift. And it's not of us, it's of who? It's of Christ. That's what those needs are going to do. It's going to make people understand it's a free gift. And I want also people to understand, you know what? Some people believe God can only do something for me in the next life. It's not so. It's not so. He's here. He's always been here. He's alive and well. Let me shut up so we can go home, y'all, because it's getting late. But this week, as we go about our way, let's take the time to share with people. And let's tell them about what we're doing up here. We're a small church, but we have a big heart. What do we have in our heart? We have the love of Christ, and we're going to do all that we can to help them meet their needs. So let's be there for them and let's share. And I'm going to pray and I'm going to let y'all go home.
I need to make a point. You were healed. You couldn't find the scripture. When you don't have what you need, what do? You improvise. You don't need the scripture.
Amen. Why is she saying that? And what is she saying? Here's what she's saying. If you've got God. See, there's some people don't read that well. There's some people that don't understand. But let me say this about the Lord. He does what? He speaks all languages. What's the language of the Lord? That language is love, right? if we'll act upon what he's placed inside our hearts, it's going to reach all people, right? He said, go into all the world and preach what? Hey, the gospel is the good news. So see, everybody speaks that one language, and that is of what? Love. So let me close, y'all, because, oh my goodness. I know y'all are hungry, and you want to go home. But let's let the world know there's only one person that can feed their soul. And that's the Lord. Lord, as we go about our way, I pray that each one here will stop and always take time to help lead people to Christ. Lord, and we want everyone here to understand that, Lord, all we have to do is act upon what you have placed in our hearts and act upon your behalf, Lord, and alone is all it takes for our lives. It always may be changed. And Lord, in your name I pray, amen. And Lord, dismiss. I'm happy to have everyone who's here.